You've noticed it, even if you haven't said it out loud. The moment you decide to take your faith seriously, your life starts feeling observed. Not in a flattering way, not like admiration, but like your name is being quietly passed around rooms you're not in. A message goes unanswered, a friend's tone shifts, opportunities feel watched, your mistakes feel magnified, and your wins get met with silence. It's the strange but pressure of being seen and misunderstood at the same time, and it makes you wonder whether you're imagining it. But deep down, you know you're not. Something has changed in the atmosphere around you, and the most unsettling part is that you can't point to one clear reason. That tension can make your heart restless. You try to move normally, but your chest tightens with questions. Why are people suddenly studying me? Why does it feel like certain doors close the moment I get closer to Allah? Why does loneliness grow when I'm trying to become better? You start replaying conversations, scanning faces, reading pauses, interpreting reactions, and the mind becomes a courtroom where every glance is evidence. And then guilt joins the noise, because you tell yourself you should be above it, that you should have stronger tawakkul, that a believer shouldn't care. But being tested isn't a clean experience. It's messy. It touches your pride, your fear, your need to be understood, and your longing to feel safe among people. Most people misread what's happening at this stage, and the first reaction is to make it personal in the most exhausting way. You start thinking, they're against me. And sometimes that's true, but you treat it like the whole story. You become defensive, sharp, suspicious, ready to cut people off before they can hurt you. You watch every interaction like a negotiation. You rehearse responses. In your head, you post less or you post more, trying to control the narrative either way. And with every move, you end up feeding the very attention that's draining you. Because the more you try to prove yourself, the more you become tied to people's eyes. The second reaction looks calmer on the outside, but it can be just as dangerous. You start performing righteousness for the crowd. You keep your manners. You keep your words soft. But the heart begins to lean toward being approved of. You become careful in a way that isn't wisdom, but fear of being misunderstood. You do the right things, but you do them with a hidden hunger for recognition, and you start measuring your worth by who notices your growth. This is where the test becomes subtle. A person can leave sins behind and still become trapped in the desire to be seen as someone who left sins behind. Here is the harder truth that frees you. Not every eye on you is an enemy's eye, and not every silence is rejection. Sometimes Allah allows you to feel watched because He is moving you from living for people to living before Him. When attention increases, it doesn't automatically mean you're special. It means the arena has changed. You're being trained to walk through a crowd without needing their applause or fearing their judgment. This is why the pressure feels spiritual, not just social. The test isn't only about what they do to you, it's about what that attention does inside you. Sabr is not passive waiting here, it's the ability to hold your character steady when your ego wants to react. And yes, there are hidden enemies, but they don't always look like villains. Sometimes they look like friends who smile while collecting details. Sometimes they look like relatives who pray for you in public but compete with you in private. Sometimes they look like people who only respect you when you're struggling because your pain makes them feel safe. Allah doesn't always expose these people in dramatic ways. Often, He protects you quietly. He removes you from gatherings without making it a scene. He makes you forget to reply. He makes you late. He turns your heart away from a plan you were excited about. At the time, you call it bad luck. Later, you realize it was mercy you couldn't see. Picture a simple scene. You walk into a room, and you can sense the shift before anyone speaks. Conversations soften, eyes flicker, someone laughs a little too loudly at nothing, and you feel the need to shrink to fit the space. You sit there smiling, but your thoughts are moving fast. You wonder if you said something wrong, if you're being judged, if you're becoming too religious, if they think you're arrogant. Then you go home and you replay it all, and it steals your peace. In moments like that, remember this: your worth is not decided in that room. The most important gaze is not theirs. It is Allah's gaze, and He sees the intention behind your silence, the restraint behind your patience, the private tears you don't make a performance of. If this is hitting something real in you, if you felt that strange pressure of being watched while trying to stay sincere, take a quiet second and like the video, not as a favor, but as a small sign to yourself that you're choosing clarity over confusion. Because clarity is what protects you now. You don't need to announce your next move. You don't need to explain your boundaries. You don't need to defend your growth. The more Allah elevates your inner life, the more you will be tested without a noise. Some people will watch you because they're curious, some because they're threatened, some because they're inspired but embarrassed to admit it. Your job is not to diagnose every intention. Your job is to keep your heart from becoming a public property. There is a counterexample that proves this isn't about being the center of the world. Sometimes the one being watched is not the one doing the most, but the one refusing to join the game. You can be quiet, faithful, and still become a target simply because you don't participate in certain conversations, certain jokes, certain compromises. People sense when you have a line you won't cross. It confronts them without you saying a word. And that's why the attention can increase even when you're not chasing it. But don't let that make you proud. Being tested is not a badge. It's a weight. If you carry it with humility, it purifies you. If you carry it with ego, it poisons you. And this is where spiritual discipline becomes the difference between survival and transformation. When you feel eyes on you, your nafs will try to push you toward extremes. Either you hide completely and become resentful, or you expose everything and become dependent. The middle path is stronger. Keep parts of your life private on purpose. Guard your plans until they're real. Make dua without telling people you made dua. Work on your character when nobody claps. And when you feel the urge to prove yourself, remember that Allah is not impressed by your image. He is pleased by your sincerity. The unseen worship, your patience, your lowered gaze, your honest repentance, those are the acts that build you while people are distracted by appearances. Tell me in the comments, what is one moment in your life when you later realized Allah was protecting you through a delay, a rejection, or a sudden separation? The one watching who will shock you is not a stranger, not an admirer, not even your critic. It is Allah watching you with knowledge that reaches deeper than your own explanations, shaping you through pressure so you can stand without needing to be held up. When all eyes are on you, it feels like exposure, but sometimes it's actually separation. Allah removing you from dependence on people's reactions. The loneliness you didn't ask for can be the space where your heart finally becomes honest. The tension you can't name can be the training that makes you steady. And the calm that arrives after you stop performing is the quiet sign that you were never meant to live for their gaze in the first place.